There's a growing view that the crisis which has almost brought the All Progressive Congress, APC, to its knees, as it holds its primaries in Edo State today, actually predates Adams Oshomole's emergence as national chairman, despite the notion among a majority within the party who continue to blame him for making things worse through his style of leadership. Yet again, there are others who blame President Muhammadu Buhari's laid-back approach to handling intra-party matters, which has for more than once thrown up situations similar to the one that has overshadowed today's primaries. The absence of a recognized national chairman is also part of the problem. Joining us now to look at this issue and a lot more, we are now being joined from Maiduguri, Borno State, by Ibrahim Waziri, a professor of social and economic history at the University of Maiduguri. Professor Waziri is also director, Center for Trans-Saharan Studies, University of Maiduguri. Welcome to the program, Professor Waziri. Good morning. Hello,
Good morning. Waziri. Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning. We can hear you. Well,
hello.
Very quickly, Prof, what's your assessment of the APC's time in power at the center and across the state over the last 5 years? In 2015, the APC celebrated its victory. In 2019, it also celebrated its continued presence in power. But many Nigerians say the APC is not managing its victory well. What's your take?
That is correct. As a ruling party, we expect it to stabilize or to have stabilized and provide a sort of a leadership role for all other parties. Unfortunately, the infights within the party and the lack of synergy between the leadership in terms of actually streamlining their interests with the interests of the party, in the interest of the nation, as a ruling party, would have provided the necessary revitalization of the party as not only a ruling party, but as a party that emerged as a result of correlation of interest to also the PDP and rest power. And this, unfortunately, is not happening. And that is why we are having a lot of problems in the country, because the ruling party itself is unstable. And that instability in the party has impacted seriously on the national politics.
You're completely right, Professor. Even the President of the Senate, an APC stalwart, agrees with you. And he has likened cited the instability within the party as a reason for instability within the country and has said President Muhammadu Buhari will be intervening in the next few days. But let's talk about the fact that it has taken this long and that his silence is deafening. It reminds me somewhat of Emperor Nero, who was fiddling while Rome burned. President Buhari is, fiddling or doing whatever he's doing while his party implodes. And as you said, this party is a coalition. Let's not forget that it took a coalition to end 16 years of PDP's dominance. So the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. If it does disintegrate, the separate smaller parties don't stand a chance against PDP come 2023.
Well, actually, the assessment you made is correct, but you see, we have to understand some basic facts, that the current generation of politicians we have are also amateurs or pioneers in terms of the rejuvenation of Nigerian political culture, because we have not had the chance of developing a truly strong political culture of party politics and then of democratic governance. This has a lot of impact on the nature of politics being played in the country. Actually, it imagines we are playing an opportunistic politics, and this has a greater impact on strengthening the political party. If you look at the background of President Buhari as a politician and that of Adam Oshomole as a politician, you can understand what I'm talking, that they lack the necessary inbuilt political sort of training and grounded exposure to the politics of Nigeria, even though most of them participated strongly in the polity in terms of being in governance or in terms of being in one form of leadership or another. But if you are talking of politics and the current new generation of politicking in Nigeria, it requires more than just the basic experience they had. It requires a lot of experience that will give them the wherewithal to manage people, not only ordinary people, but leadership of a country who are imagined to become very important players and decision makers, final decision makers in the interest of the country. And you know Nigeria is a complex country. It requires a certain degree of ability, and not only ability, but a certain degree of insight and influence to really bring about the right type of political leadership.
Professor, a couple of years ago, a PDP stalwart, by the name Vincent Ogbulafor, once said that the PDP will lead Nigeria for the next 50, 60 years, because the PDP then had a formidable and robust system. But we saw how the PDP went. Now the APC have gone this way too, almost going the way the PDP went. Pockets of fire everywhere, friendly fire and unfriendly fire, from Ondo to Edo. What's the future of the APC?
Well, it depends on a lot of factors. One of the main issues we have to focus on is how do we get the political parties generally to work as a party, not as a coalition of interested groups. And the leadership of a party owes this greatly. If that is not done, the writing is on the wall for everybody to see. The parties are not going to function as is required of them. And at the end of the day, it will be a loss for national political infrastructure, because we'll be having this tradition entrenched in our political culture. And that will not augur well for entrenching democratic rule based on party politics. So there is need for the leadership of the party to realize that group or self-interest is not more than the interests of the nation and the future of the nation. So party politics, and then the type of maintaining this party politics should be aligned in such a way that the parties should perform their function, regardless of whoever is involved in one way or the other.
Well, Prof, I don't know whether you will agree with me, but it wasn't always this bad. In the First Republic, we had strong political parties. In the Second Republic, we also had strong political parties that stood for something. Now, where did we go wrong? And what can we do to transform the political party system and political culture in Nigeria?
Well, the history of politicking in Nigeria, you can see. The First and the Second Republics, we still have a generation who has the experience of politicking, either directly involved in the politicking of the first generation politicians or second generation politicians, or have participated strongly in the governance inherited from colonial rule and immediate post-colonial period. Unfortunately, the military interregnum did not give us this continuity. It created a terrible situation whereby the little political culture we had or political experience we had in the country has been trampled upon. And the new generation of politicians that emerged were only interested in wresting power, in just being in power, without considering the importance of this infrastructure of not only maintaining power, but getting the vehicle to utilize this power in the most appropriate manner. So these are serious problems. But Nigeria as a country is resilient. We still have politicians who are ready to provide this type of leadership. I think the party should look inward, reflect upon themselves, and find out the right type of people that can provide that type of leadership. It shouldn't be self-interest first. It should be interest of the party and the future of this country. Regardless of whether it is PDP or APC, Nigeria is at stake. So we can't continue like this. If we continue like this, God forbid, it will be terrible for all of us. So this is very, very important, serious issue, national issue.
I like your point about not expecting expertise from novices. That's a really good point there. But I want to talk to you about godfatherism in politics, which is not a Fourth Republic phenomenon that has been with us for as long as I've been alive, certainly. Dr. Abati was quoting the Oba of Benin earlier, saying that he would like to see an end to that in Edo State. So let's talk about an end to that in Nigerian politics. How do we get out of this quagmire? Because we all know that these godsons are not really selected based on any acumen that they display. It's all about how they will enrich, usually, their godfather. And what we're seeing now, unfortunately, between Oshiomhole and Obaseki and their camps is really child's play compared to what we've seen before with the likes of Ngige and Uba. We've had enough of this system. The only thing about it is just its predictable tedium. We see it all the time. How do we break this cycle of godfatherism once and for all?
You see, these are things that you can do with them in human society. All human societies have this type of mentoring, this type of conservatism in terms of a struggle for power and retention of power in one way or the other. The most important thing is how do we manage it in such a way that it will provide the good for all, currently and in the future. Unfortunately for APC, to some extent even the PDP, is that there are a concentration of power in hand of few people. Without them sharing this power in terms of synergizing, dialoguing, sort of bringing people to accept dialogue, to accept spirit of togetherness. You can't impose a decision on your colleagues who are in the same party in terms of authoritarianism. It doesn't work like that. You need to negotiate. You need to give and take. You need to provide the right type of consolation, the right type of understanding. This is how we should make it. It's not that they can't do it. They had terrible experience in the fight and they manage it. Why not now? When you are in power, you control power. It's extremely important we should realize that it's not only Adam Oshiomhole and Governor Obaseki. No, it's more than that. It permeates through the party. There's a division through the party. And this is deliberately being foiled. And the people who are foiling it are doing it deliberately. So we should come back and understand that there should be collective understanding of the issue and resolution of this issue in the best interest of the party, but in the best interest of the country. We are in a terrible situation. It's a messy situation in the country. We need a leadership that can carry us through, not a leadership that can muddle the situation and continue this terrible situation.
Right. Prof, let's talk about the role of ideology. I mean, many years ago, if you saw a NEPU ticket, an Aminu Kano ticket, you know that this ticket was probably going to fight for the Talakawas till the very end. And he surrounded himself with the Talakawas. At his headquarters in Kano was the Talakawas. If you saw an action group ticket, you know an action group was going to fight for the working class till the end. And that was the ideology. But today we don't even have ideology. I don't know what kind of a party APC is. Is APC a center-right or a center-left? We just say progressive. Is PDP a center-right or a center-left or a right-right or an extreme right? I don't know what's happening. We'll take your thoughts about this after the break, Prof. We'll take your thoughts after the break. We'll go on a quick break. We'll be right back. Right, still the morning show right here on the Rise News. We'll still have Ibrahim Waziri, a professor of social and economic history, University of Maiduguri. I was talking about ideology. I was saying, back in the days, we knew people that had clear ideology. And Aminu Kano, for instance, you know he was strongly for the Talakawas. I'm probably sure he doesn't make money, or he didn't even make money from that stance. But he held that stance till he died. But it looks as though these days, like Dr. Batin and I were talking off air, and Tundu, that political parties are just SPVs. They're just special purpose vehicles that leads you to state resource and that leads you for an avenue of plunder. No ideologies. We don't even hear it.
Well, you are mistaken. There's an ideology. The ideology is money. Money is politics. It has been entrenched in our body politic since after the Second Republic. And basically, this is the new trend even in international politics of different democracies. If you take America, for instance, if you look at the emergence of President Trump, you know that money plays politics. So the issue of money is part of the new ideology we have now in our body politics. But that does not mean that it should be the central issue. When you get politicians in office and you get them in politics, the issue is more than how much they have invested. The issue is what can they do to provide a landmark legacy in terms of their political career and in terms of grooming others. Unfortunately for this country, the experience we have so far had has not given us the whistle to develop this, as I said, political culture. So the issue that matters significantly is how much can you contribute to the political leadership, to the political party, before you are even considered. That is why currently in Nigeria, the Governors Forum plays more role than any other group in Nigerian party politics because they provide the money. And most of the big wigs in the party who are considered as essential to politicians, why? It's because they provide money. We can't shy away from this. And currently, you know, the tradition in the country, if you do not have money, you are nobody, no matter how good you are. So money culture has emerged as an important instrument of social, economic, and political life of our people and society. And that is why we should cultivate a new political leadership that will show that what matters is how practical are you in providing solutions to societal problems. That is what politics is all about, politics of development. And I think this is what the new generation of politicians who are unhappy with what is happening now should try to cultivate. It's not easy, but that is the way out.
Well, Prof, let's go back to the crisis within the APC. We've seen how that crisis affected the APC in some states of the Federation in the 2019 election, Zamfara, Rivers, and now in the run-up to the 2023 elections. We are also seeing that the party still has problems. But some people are concerned that President Buhari, who is the leader of the party, seems to be relatively aloof about the crisis within the party. They accuse him of not showing interest because perhaps he doesn't need that platform again, having been given a second time by Nigerians. What do you think President Buhari should do, or he should just not bother and allow the gladiators to cancel themselves out, as it were?
You see, we have to understand the situation of President Buhari. President Buhari did not expect Nigeria as he found it now. And after his attempt to bring solutions to a lot of the problems, and the problem he it both to his party and outside, has created a lot of sort of carefulness in him towards approaching this problem. Look, what is happening is that Buhari alone cannot bring change to Nigeria. Buhari alone cannot correct ills of Nigeria. No matter how we like him to work, if he's not getting the right type of cooperation, the right type of people to advise him and to work with him honestly and sincerely, he can do nothing. Mind you, he has more information than you and me about these people because he is always in contact with them. He has security report about them. And there are a lot of things that he knows about them that they did not know that he knows. So for him to be on the safer side, it's better to tread it carefully. I am not justifying his aloofness, no. But I am understanding it from his capacity to really play the politics as you are used to. It's not that easy. That's what I indicated earlier. I said the current political leadership we have in Nigeria, most politicians, they have a lot of shortcomings as a result of what we have experienced so far in the polity of the country. And mind you, from his background as a as a decorated military officer, as somebody who was the president under a military rule, and then somebody who has now aspired, and now he has realized to a certain extent the nature of the problem associated with our policy. And this has made him to tread carefully. If you remember, when he came in, policy statement, he speaks loudly before even it's implemented. Now he has learned the wisdom of silence and walking. And these are part of the experiences he has gained. But it's not just it. He has to try as much as possible to call a spade a spade. And at least to some extent, to make sure that some of this problem has not reached the dimension there. How can a ruling party decide the fate of the leadership of the party in a court of law? Where are the leaders? Where are the leaders? It's a big question. And it's a big slide on the face of the leadership of the APC. They shouldn't allow such a thing to happen. They are not being fair to young generation of politicians and then to the nation. So there is need for urgent involvement, as the Speaker has told us yesterday when he met Mr. President. They are the ones who are going to be affected most because the mess which will be left to them to clear, I doubt very much if they will be able to clear in all the states and then at the national level. Mind you, nobody has a right to continue to have even this semblance of stability we are having now. So it is urgent that the President, the leadership of the party, and the leadership of the polity of the nation should come together, and at least sense should take over this lawlessness. Of course, they are going to court. Court has passed pronounced it, but it's not what is expected in a political party. Talk less of a ruling political party. It's not easy. If you are ruling, it doesn't mean it's a job. And ruling a country is a tough job. And you should try as much as possible to prevent any problem that will arise and jeopardize the national integrity and national interest. These are fundamental. There are more than one group or the other or personal interest. They are national interest. So I think it's very, very important, Mr. President, should arise to this issue, and then the leadership of the political party at the National Assembly and the political party and those who matter, they know themselves, they know what they are doing. They should come together and resolve their problems amicably. It's very, very important.
It is crucially important, sir. Thank you for that. Now, I'd like to discuss with you the comments made by the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, on Friday at a webinar in his conversation with the former Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, wherein he said that Nigeria cannot afford to carry on spending 70% of our budget on overheads, which is an obvious statement if I've ever heard one. They also made reference to the Orosaye report, which is beginning to be implemented, or so we're told, that government agencies will be collapsed to sort of be less wasteful. And also talked about the fact that we should have a unicameral and not a bicameral legislature. I would like your comments on that and the fact that he said we need a national debate to discuss all these issues. And beyond his comments, what are your thoughts on the presidential system of government that we're operating? Does it suit us? Should we consider a parliamentary system? What are your thoughts on all of that? Professor Waziri?
You see, all this boils down to one fundamental issue. What interest? Yes, I'm listening to, I say this all boils down to one central issue. That is the vision and mission of the political leadership. What is it that they want to achieve? It's not the money they get, it's not the expenses they incur in terms of their personal expenses. But how effective have they used the national resources to provide the type of leadership and the type of society that we are all aspiring to? Of course, these are very fundamental issues that has been observed. Cost of governance is extremely high in Nigeria. Leadership in Nigeria has become a way for looting national money or looting national treasure. It's not acceptable. You can't do that. That's why we have a lot of deficit in terms of economic infrastructure, social infrastructure, even the political infrastructure. That's why we have problems in the political party. Because we have not invested so much in human beings, capital development. You should invest in human beings. You should invest in your national treasure. And these national treasures are human beings, and the infrastructure you provide for them to function. This is not what is happening. So, cost of governance, the presidential system we are operating, is expensive because the leadership usually like to get the money for their own use, not the money for infrastructure development, not the money for putting it in the right investment for the future. So it depends on the leadership state. What type of governance do they want, and how do they want it to be in terms of protecting the future of the country, in terms of effective utilization and efficient utilization of both human and material resources. This is what politics, development politics should be. Not politics just grab money. At the end of the day, you even die without using the money. What for? And you have stopped the trend for developing the leadership that to really see leadership is a means of national interest. It's a means of providing what the country has given to you. Because most of them, in one way or the other, they are lucky to be what they are through Nigerian resources, empowerment or endowment, which they now are beneficiaries to. Why are they denying the others coming from having the benefit of them leading the country in the best way possible? These are fundamental issues that have to be addressed by the political leaders.
Right, Prof, we'll go through a quick break now. We'll come back and talk some more. Keep it locked right here. Right, we still have Professor Ibrahim Waziri, Professor of Social and Economic History, University of Maiduguri. I was making a point to my colleagues here in the studio. I said, even the likes of Adolf Hitler and other European leaders, they might not be worthy examples, but what did they do when they had power in their country? Adolf Hitler built the Autobahn in Germany, one of the longest road networks. Created jobs. It was said that 3,600 people were constantly working when the Autobahn project was up. So, but even if we have dictators in Nigeria, we don't have dictators that are concerned about national development. Then why don't we just go back to a regional system and restructure the country?
You are correct. There is need for this country to look inwards and for us to see from our experiences in terms of our history, what have we learned and what can we do to better ourselves? You see, the issue is that no matter what we are doing, we shouldn't look at ourselves alone. We should look at the future from our eyes. That whatever we are building today, and we are building certain degree of problems for others coming. So what we should do is we should look at what are the problems now we are facing. What created this problem? Or why are we having such problems? What are the solutions that we can immediately solve in the immediacy and then mid-term and then in the long run? This is how you build ability of a country to perform. And mind you, you cannot build a country out of the blues. A country emerges from experience, from historical background of the country. Hitler succeeded because he capitalized on the experience of the Germans from the First World War. And if somebody knows the history of Europe, Germany had experienced since the Bismarckian system in 1850. And that was the history that emerged. They have been prepared for the situation. Unfortunately for Germany, the First World War was a disaster, particularly the reparation they had to pay, the indemnity they had to pay to France. And Hitler capitalized on that because of the economic depression they also faced then. But coming back to Nigeria, you see, in Nigeria we are blessed. Nigeria has abundant human resources, has abundant land and mineral resources, a lot of other natural resources which are yet to be exploited. So all we need to do is the little resources you can get from any other sources. Let us know how to invest it and reinvest it in our people and our society. Let us develop a strategy of making us to have confidence in our leadership that what they are doing is in our interest immediately in the future. That dialogue should be created. People should be aware of what is happening. Children should have trust in the leadership. The leadership should develop trust in the people. They should explain what they are doing to the people, and they should also be honest and sincere. Lack of honest and sincere leadership is a curse for this country. So these are the issues. It doesn't matter whether you divide this country into regions, and so if you do not get the right type of leadership, they cannot carry us through. So investment in leadership, national leadership, is a must-do issue. And even in our traditional setting, you know that it's not everybody who is giving a title. If we are giving a title, assessment is being made. Talk less of national issues now. But we have just thrown all these issues to the dogs. So there is need to go back, recast our mind. What are the values, social, economic, and political values that we need in our leaders? Anybody coming up to say we vote him, we should assess him. We should have the mechanism to assess him and know that this person deserves our own commendation or recommendation of vote. Not in a situation where somebody will come overnight with a lot of money, build anything, price here and there, and then people will say, oh, he's the leader, and tomorrow he will come and be creating social problem for everybody. So it's not only the leadership. The followership also have their problems. And this is the most important issue, that the followership should have confidence in themselves, should believe in themselves. That people should know that they are the alpha and omega of making change in the society for better. Not somebody who will come here alone and say that he will change everything for you. It's not possible. He has to work with you. He has to work with the people. And these are essential things. And look, don't neglect any part of Nigerian society. We have to bring people together. We have to see the problem people are facing and to a greater extent be involved in solving this problem. And this is how we'll bring synergy, we'll bring togetherness, we will develop relationships, social, economic, and political in our own interest. There's no any part of this country that should be left to be neglected. That should be left on its own. It's not possible. It will affect us in the short or long term. So the leadership must be such that are in contact and working with them. Not a leadership that will come and tell you lies today, and then once you have elected them and they become almost runaway leadership, they do not even stay with you. They move Abuja and then they just start gallivanting abroad, taking your money anywhere, and then you find that common water now in Nigeria is a problem. Common drinking water. Roads are terrible. Schools, just talk less, public schools. Even the universities are closed for how many months? And the lecturers are on strike. Nobody cares. Nobody is talking about it. So how do you develop as a country?
Well,
just because people want to placate them.
We're talking about it here on our Rice News, Prof. But just before
there are fundamental issues that need to be done. Yes.
Well,
Did you get me?
Yes, I heard you. You teach at the University of Maiduguri, and security is a major challenge in that part of Nigeria. What are your thoughts about the efforts of the government to address the challenge of security in that part of the country and elsewhere? Now, with the president reading the Riot Act and the Senate president telling service chiefs to sit up or ship out.
You see, to be honest, the security forces, the government is trying, but the approach they're taking is already a linear approach. It's a one-directional approach. Security and issue of insecurity has passed this stage. We have not been conducting the right type of research to find out even the nature of insecurity we are facing. Now, if you ask that, let them tell you what is the nature of insecurity we are facing, they will say it's insurgency. What is insurgency in this type of threat? What type of diagnosis have you made of this insurgency? What type of groundwork breaking research have you made to find out the nature of insecurity relations? Who and who are involved? Who are financing? What are the internal and external dimensions of this insecurity? I think mostly foreigners are the ones telling us the nature of insecurity we have. Those inside the country who are ready to work to resolve this problem are not involved. How much have government spent on research to find out about this insecurity? How much has the government involved with the university, the research centers, to find about this insecurity and work on this issue. So we need fundamentally to create a very, very important knowledge-based approach to problem of insecurity. Not just the militaristic approach. It's okay that the military, since the insurgency are using violence. Of course, you need the military to prevent violence or the security service. But you see, we are a society that needs peace. We are a society that needs development. We are a society that are in control of people who are peaceful. They are not militaristic in their mind. So we need approaches that will take into cognizance the need to really go to the bottom of this problem and approach it from a knowledge-based approach after knowing the issues, our ability and inability. The military cannot solve this problem for Nigeria. Everybody is telling you that military can solve it. Is telling you not the truth or half truth. You need to get these people either to understand that issue of force is not the alternative, or you need to devise a means of cutting them off from their supply of whatsoever resources they have to perfect this type of insurgency.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Waziri, for joining us this morning on The Morning Show.